I would say through media, movies, and things such like that. A whole lot of things that get our attention and therefore govern our attention span in terms of time and focusing on things that's really not serving humanity any purpose, and which gives a environment that will eventually become inhumane more power to grow and to exist. You know, the whole thing of sports, you know, we spend hours observing sports, entertainment, this idol worshiping of celebrities and things and such, while our own lives are falling apart. Because our focus is not objectively on what we're doing as a human family in terms of humanity itself. And so this is one of the primary reasons why the earth abroad, actually, from my own observation, is going into darkness, and therefore everything on the planet is becoming more inhumane than humane. You know, we talked about that scripture where it says, "Be not conformed to the things of the world." Christian had brought up, we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. And I had explained to them, because one of them was just a little bit off, but I was letting them know how the pastors have pretty much lied to everyone, as I used to hear even in the 70s, that you're a born sinner. You're born into the world as a sinner. No, you're not. You're born into a world of sin, and as you move forward, and as time prevails, and your mind starts picking up things because of the things that you see, a lot of the things that you hear around you, when your spark of intelligence starts taking this information in, then simply because you're able to take information in, questions are going to start developing because of your natural gift of curiosity. And so you're going to start asking questions, which strengthens your interest because you want to know. And whether you realize it or not, what you really want to know is what you have been born into. But the whole thing is, all of the things that are immoral, that are going on in the world, that are constantly functioning, and you coming up in that environment, your mind is going to conform to those things, and that's going to affect your intelligence, and it's going to shape a mentality that you are going to end up being put in the position to where you have to utilize in order to be able to relate with everyone in your environment. And that is the conforming of the things of the world. Be not conformed to the things of the world. And the reason why it says be not, that's equivalent to a commandment. It's equivalent as a suggestion and an advice. Conform not of the things of the world. But as you move forward and you begin to develop your intelligence, then you get to the point to where morality starts also swelling inside of you in terms of what is right and what is wrong. And from that point on, it's as Brother Bruce Lee has said. He said, absorb only what is useful and discard what is useless. And that implies a person who is accumulating a whole lot of information. And if their state of morality is good, then what they're going to do is absorb only what is good for their state of morality and discard the inhumane of morality or of immorality that is functioning in the society. And it goes vice versa. A person who is on the opposing side of morality is a person to where their whole, you might as well say like internal foundation is rooted in immorality. They are going to discard the goodness of the moral things of the world, and they're going to embrace the immorality of it. So everything is based upon not only just perception, but but everything is based upon where your heart is rooted in terms of morality or immorality. In spite of what side you choose to choose, you might as well say that. If you're a bad person, a whole lot of people coming up, and we used to have these conversations in Chicago, me and my friends, and I recall one time we were all standing in front of my great grandmother's house and we were talking about the quote unquote bad guys and the evil people and all of that. And my friend John Bill had brought up Star Wars. And he said, well, you know, just like the people of the dark side, he said, and if you notice, he said, what I don't understand about people of the dark side is that they're able to kill off a whole lot of people, and they just walk away as though it doesn't bother them. And I was explaining to him to where whether you're on the what is called the light side or the dark side, simply because these people have chosen one or the other, after they've made that choice, what you don't understand is that for them to come to make that particular choice, they have in time become at peace with their decision to make that particular choice of whichever side that they are gonna, you might as well exit. So basically, when a person chooses either side, they're at peace with what side that they choose. And so whether it's the dark side or the light side, they've chosen that side and they're at peace. And that's one of the reasons why they can do particular things that most would consider immoral. But with these particular people, those things are not immoral at all. Those things are moral, according to their particular understanding of what morality is and its objective and what it can produce on the earth. The same as people who do good have that same understanding. Well, not the same understanding, but that same state of peace within, because they come to the conclusion that when they choose to execute or demonstrate the good side, they're at peace with that. And so you have these two opposing communities that are competing for domination on earth, you might as well say. So due to the fact that you have this side and that side, and they oppose one another, I came to the conclusion to where if these two oppose one another, and they're always going to be clashing, if you ask me, ain't either one of them working. Because while those two are clashing, there are people out there with that, what they call the third eye, which I don't ever utilize that phrase, but I would rather say the ones on the outside as myself as I was coming up, that was always observing the conflict between the so-called good side and the so-called bad side. I'm observing them both clashing. I observed this with watching a whole lot of war documentaries from the Civil War through World War I, World War II, Vietnam, all the way up to the current time. Good side, bad side, and you're clashing. And what are you doing to the environment of the earth? Due to the fact that you two oppose one another, you're going at each other, and you're clashing, because one is trying to dominate the other based upon principle. What are you causing on the earth? You're causing the earth to suffer because you have other people watching this war of good and evil going on. And they are saying, well, when two people are arguing, bystanders can't tell the difference. I'm going to be moving very slow with this tonight because I would normally say I just came out of meditation, but I broke away from it tonight because there were some things that I saw that I didn't like. And people may say, well, was there some things that you didn't like about yourself? Yeah, it was some things that I didn't like about myself in relation to you, humanity as a whole. You know, usually I allow the Creator to take me forward, you know, to reveal the core. But tonight, you might as well say that I allowed my anger and disgust and resentment to, I won't say force me, but to make me resist being led forward because of some things that I saw. And it derives from information. You know, when the Creator told them in the garden to not eat of the knowledge of good and evil. But what I saw and what I felt, in which upset me and made me want to pull away from it, was the fact that these things were even present. You know, it made me question the Creator right before I pulled myself from meditation. Why are these things still present inside of us? And why do you allow these things to exist? The same as the Creator allowed the tree of the knowledge of good and evil to still exist in the garden instead of discarding it or even destroying it. I said in another video of mine, when it says in the word that there's an area which is a containment of where the Creator calls the sea of forgetfulness. See, when you use a phrase like sea of forgetfulness, you're talking about an area which is a containment. The sea of forgetfulness. It's like if you were with the Creator, and if you point, you ask God, what is that? And if the Creator says, oh, that's the sea of forgetfulness. This is where, after I say that I've forgiven you, I take all of your sins and therefore your bad behaviors and all of your flaws, and I throw it into the sea of forgetfulness, of where all those things are forgotten by me. And so you ask, well, if all of those things are forgotten by you, then why does the seed of forgiveness even exist? And if that is so, then why do we have a time of judgment? Will you bring all of these things back that you say that you have forgotten? And will you bring these things back in order for you to cast judgment upon us if we are to enter this place which religion has asserted exists, called heaven, or that other place called hell? So, considering the entire thing, that containment, it doesn't imply that anything has been forgotten. What upset me tonight and made me pull myself from meditation, I came to again realize the whole knowledge of good and evil, those are opposing perceptions. And considering everything that's going on in the world today, with this war with Iraq, the war with religion, the war with politics, all of those derive from perceptions that oppose one another. The knowledge of what is good and what is evil, which is in fact just point of views. You see it all over YouTube, podcasts, where everyone is up there attacking a particular subject that they feel is overwhelming the community or the entire world. And everyone's going back and forth with their different point of views based upon the events of their individual pasts. And everyone's attacking one another. And if you notice, the only time that everyone is getting along is if the majority agrees upon that one particular thing. Even if one person or two people are left disagreeing, as long as the majority agrees, then everything is fine. When the other two who are in not agreement on what the majority agrees with, they are left, you might as well say, in a state of intellectual exile. And this is supposed to be a good thing. So this is just opposing perceptions, is what is tearing the world apart. And considering, as I said before, everything going on with this war and everything that is going on with the community, with the black woman against the black man, and the black man against the black woman, and thus and so in pretty much every areas of the earth, there's some opposing perceptions going on. And this is why it said in the book that if you consume this particular knowledge, then you will die, surely. But all at the same time, I would have to ask the Creator, if this information was deemed by you to be such an endangerment to mankind, because of obviously a historical account that transpired that none of us knew about or know about, then why did you allow this particular information to still exist? You can eat of all the trees, but you cannot eat of this particular information. You can't consume this particular information because it's going to cause an internal death within humanity. And this is what we're dealing with today. This is what we're dealing with today. And not only in religion and politics, but even in our personal lives in regards to friendships, family, relationships, all of those things. Opposing perceptions. That's what I saw tonight. And as I said before, normally when the Creator leads me to something, I usually observe it with an empty mind. However, tonight I betrayed myself by allowing my own perception and my own point of view to analyze that and see that these perceptions are opposing one another. And the only thing that I saw was the problem that we are dealing with in humanity today. And it hurt. And so I pulled myself from it. And I know that the Creator is going to take me there again. However, this particular night, I just wasn't fit, you might as well say, to move forward. And so the Creator allowed me the authority to pull myself from it, which is love, because I call that love because I was left with a choice to resist and leave instead of being left without a choice and forced to go into something that my inner being didn't have the love and the discipline in order to go into. So it just wasn't time. But considering everything that we are dealing with this day, everything derives from information. And as I said in the video that I placed before this one, if both good and evil are clashing with one another, and me as the third person who is observing them both choose to observe them both. And as I said before, as I was coming up, the elders used to tell us, when two fools are arguing, bystanders cannot tell the difference. You cannot tell the difference of who is right and which one is wrong. And due to the fact that you cannot tell which one is right and which one is wrong, it's because they're both wrong, because they're clashing. There's no love there. So with that understanding, it helps me understand why the Creator told humanity, don't consume that information, because there's no love there. There's two opposing perceptions in there. There's information there that clashes from opposing perceptions. One is good, one is evil, but they're clashing. Most people call it the yin and yang. However, when you look at the yin and yang symbol, they're clashing into one another, and it looks like they're wrestling with one another. So We're living in a whirlwind of information that is destructive. It could be destructive. And people may say, well, you have to understand it. You have to understand it in order for you to maintain peace. That maintenance that they are referring to, the majority of the time, the people who I've come in contact with, that maintenance is what is called the balance of the two. So the idea of coexisting together and therefore tolerating one another. We tolerate one another. And the root of that toleration is still an opposing entity, which is hatred. We'll tolerate one another, but as long as you stay over there and I stay here, and if we ever happen to come in contact with one another, we will tolerate one another, and we will call that having the balance, which is conflict. That's warfare. That's not balance, that's chaos. So is balance chaos? From my personal perception, from what I've observed, it's chaotic. So it brings to mind of why Yeshua had told Brother Nicodemus, you must be born again in the Spirit. And until man is born again in the Spirit, he cannot see the kingdom of God. I understand that more clearly tonight. And I thank the Creator that it allowed me to pull myself out of meditation tonight, because I was in such turmoil at that present moment. I would not have been able to deal with that had I not pulled myself from it by the Creator's permission to get this particular understanding, to where now when this is put before me in meditation, due to the fact that now I have a clear understanding of it, I'm able to be led forward and into what was getting ready to be shown to me. And so this whole journey tonight within meditation was a journey of a revealing factor of myself that I have to die to, and therefore I have died to it, because now I understand exactly what the problem was. I was a part of what I was observing. The whole conflict that each human being is suffering, whether one group of human beings is over here who agree with the same thing, or the other human beings over here who agree with the opposing thing. This is why we clash, because we have opposing perceptions, group-wise, good, evil, and we're clashing all the time, and we are existing in a state of death. We're existing in a state of death. So we are existing in a state of death. And a lot of people, and it's not their fault, when you utilize the word death, due to the fact that the world's perception of death has been contaminated with such a dark and disturbing perception. A lot of people have been made to think, therefore believe that death is a bad thing, but death is actually a good thing. It's good. So when I say that the human family is in a state of death, it means that for some, you're dying to something so that you can be made alive in another area of your individual being. Because in spite of some of us not liking this primary fact, consciousness never dies. It continues to go on. It's something that it's never old. It's never old. It is something that is consistently blooming, because it is always new, because it is always venturing into the next state of evolution. Even if you are ordained to go into another life force or life form to where you're going to have to suffer a little bit, that suffering is leading to something that is liberating, which is love. That's love. But the biggest destructive device that I see existing on this earth today is opposing perception. And that has the human family clashing, consistently clashing. It's everywhere. It's over the internet. It's in our homes. It's in our friendships. It's in our so-called relationships. It's everywhere. And you have people out here who want followers, as I said, who feels as though they are not a part of that movement, who feel that they have the exact truth simply because they have a particular majority of people believing what they say and therefore agreeing with them. And simply because they have these people agreeing with them, and therefore these people are intimidated by their level of intelligence, they would never dare to disagree with them because they are afraid of how this person is going to intellectually respond to them. And so, due to the fact that there's a whole lot of people right now who are slaves of public opinion, they would never dare to disagree with this person in public because they don't want the world to make them feel embarrassed. They don't want to be embarrassed. So I'll just agree with you. I'll get along with you. I'll go along to get along. And that strips you from being an individual. That makes you into a follower or a game player. You're playing games with your life. Opposing perception. That's a part of our humanity that is destroying what humanity that we have left in the human family. So are we going to allow this to persist? Or is everyone individually going to try to discard both sides and just move forward in the spirit? I've decided to discard both good and evil and just exist in the spirit and just move forward. Because both sides are clashing with one another. So to my understanding, both sides are not worth it. If these two cannot get along and therefore they refuse to come to an agreement, then what good are they? Now, some may say, well, it's in their nature to oppose one another. I would have to agree with that. That's why the Creator said, stay away. Don't consume that information. Because when you consume that information that opposes one another, that turns you into this manifestation of a dual human being to where you are always in conflict with yourself because of those two opposing entities that are existing inside of you. And this is why the word says, ye shall know the truth, and only the truth will make you free or set you. And so some scripture says, make you. The truth will make you free. Well, when you're in the process of making something, you're talking about, or when the Creator is dealing with you, getting you prepared in order that you may be free. Don't think that it's going to just happen instantly or overnight. And the worst thing that we can do is determine the time element of when we are going to be made free. Because if you are determining the time of when you're going to be made free, you're interfering and you're in the process of failing yourself. So just go on with the ride and don't try to determine anything. Let God deal with you. To where you just come to know suddenly that you have been made free without any effort of your own. Two opposing perception. That is what's causing the world to be so disruptive today. And so I'm going to cut this short tonight, and I'm going to get some rest because I don't want to say too much because I feel there's a feeling inside of me that's letting me know that I am not in complete understanding of what I saw tonight. And so if it's one thing that I don't want to do is distribute information that's going to be destructive. Even though I've been accused of that, I'm fine. I'm just being responsible. So with that being said, everybody try their hardest to remain human, therefore to remain humane. That being said, but have a beautiful evening. Peace.